I've been watching bits and pieces of Kanye West talking, where he's apparently got himself in trouble for being an anti-Semite. I get something different from his what he's trying to say. It's like he keeps getting tripped up. They don't let him say what he wants to say. The people that he's talking to, he has a way of meandering. I do the same. He has a way of meandering, and they catch him off. So he never really gets to finish his point. But it's a matter of him throwing the J word around and it having an effect. I think he's trying to point to the unspeakables, and we know that there's unspeakable people. There's a set of those high up in the entertainment industries who are like the progenitors of wokeness in this cancel culture thing as to where they come after you and ruin you, who are the all-time masters of it. The witch hunting supremos. But before the days of the internet, it would be like the Southern Poverty Law Centre, the ADL, and it be Jew be a weapon used by people. Oh, he said something about Jews, get him, and it not be anything to do with Jews, but it'd be all about weapons. The weapon of choice to reach for. He's an anti-Semite, get rid of him. And the people getting rid of him might not be Jews. They might be using that as a shiv to stick people with. So it's a matter of, who is it who makes these decisions? And it's not Jews, is it? I mean, yeah, there's some Jew things going on, but there's a great big Jew trap. And it's like, if you look at what Hollywood is, right? If you want to make that link as to say, oh my God, there's a hell of a lot of people of Jewish origin in this business, and it's a matter of, well, they kind of moved out there, didn't they? When they started to fund it, it's like the music halls and cinema funded the movie business, and it's like they stayed. It's like amongst their number, they claim great actors, great singers, great playwrights. It's a matter of they took the business with them, and it be theatre and the arts and the music hall. They took it to Hollywood. Why did they go to Hollywood? Sunshine. It's a better place to make movies. You lose less days shooting in Hollywood, California than anywhere else, and that's why they went there. And it's a matter of those people stayed. It's like the ownership of these places might have moved around. They might have become big. They might have become national companies. They might have become stock exchange. But it's a matter of the old money that first arrived in that place 120 years ago still endures, still exists. And it's like there's positions of almighty power in that industry. You get people who will inherit and fail their way to the absolute top of it. And it'll be like, the fact these positions exist is why you get all this sort of messaging and tampering. And it's like, just as with any set of people, you get it as to where there's a lot of criticism. And there's those in the world who've got the ability to use their muscle to say, shut that guy up, get rid of him, fire that motherfucker. And it be, but how are we going to do that? Oh, tell him he said something fucked about Jews. And he might, you don't get it. People start throwing Jews around. They start throwing around Holocaust, rumour, ancient mixtures of what they call scientific anti-Semitism. You see medieval anti-Semitism, and they all get hung up on just how powerful that little word is. And that little word, weapon, and a shield that many hide behind. And also, like, you take a Holocaust victim and turn him into a missile and weaponize him and fire him. Boom, Jew. And it's like, I think Kanye is trying to trigger the right response. He's doing exactly what he should do. If he's on the mission that he claims to be on, as to where driven by God, right? There's a very strong likelihood that he's actually trying in his way. He ain't done. He's just not being allowed to articulate himself properly. But I think he's remedying that. It's like he's calling out the Pharisees in that business. And he knows what they're up to. He gets it, Kanye. It's like, you've heard him talk. It's like, he's got my spiel now. He's talking about what's going on with the kids. He's like the active role they play in hand to teach the kids things they don't really need to be knowing. Over the years, the standard's been dropped as to where you get it, where it's a matter of, I like the new Game of Thrones series because it's not porn. Most of it's not porn. It's like, if you want porn, watch porn. It's like, if you want, you don't need to be watching some series with some fucking sex scene, explicit scene bits. You don't need that. Kids don't need that. It's like little 5-year-old sees an episode of Game of Thrones. It's just on and you just let it slip, and it's a matter of, Mom. Kanye understands that. Hardest lesson in life to learn. I equate that with like the wisdom of King Solomon. It's a big deal. It's like when you learn about that, when you learn about the price of the price you paid for your innocence. When you suss that out and it's a matter of shit, we need to protect the kids. I'll do our best to. It's never impossible. It's never possible to fully protect kids from being sexualized young, right? You'll fail at it. But you can put in an effort and mitigate it by a great deal. There's no need to be straight up teaching these kids that it's all about, it's all about sex, all of it. It's all about being hot. He gets it. Kanye gets that. So it's where he starts to fish around, because he's saying that it's like the Jews, it's like they're degenerating us. And who is he talking about? He's talking about the unaccountable decision-making money at the top ends of all the studios. Who've got all the contacts, who know all the people, who are these bigoted fucking twats, the likes of which you see on Twitter. The old school, the Bette Midlers of this world, the Barbra Streisands, the Schers, they're horrible old Jewish people. Like poison. They're some of the most toxic, disgusting people on the internet in how they hate on others. And it'd be a matter of, well, let's look towards this. It's a matter of these Hollywood sort of Jews, and it'd be like, well, there's a great big protected clique, and if they were ever to talk about the secrets they know about each other, they could bring each other down, and that'd be the basis of them all not being in prison. Excuse me? Yes, they're a great big clique. And they think like, well, we can't say anything about him. What about his poor kids? What about his poor kids if he gets exposed for that murder he did? What'll happen to his poor kids? They'll not be able to go to college. They might end up working normal jobs. What about their future? Their Hollywood name permanently tarnished and be like that. They protect each other and they systematically do it. And then it become the great crime in that set be to run your mouth about who did what, knowing that there's fucked up shit going on, and knowing that the code of silence is what makes it possible and perpetuates it, and know there are those who exploit this. And then you be the one to run your mouth, and it's a matter of anti-Semite. So you hit it head on. You start throwing the word around. Bear out the response. And everybody who says, hey, you got to watch your mouth, you shouldn't be mouthing off like that, you're anti-Semitic, I'm not against that. So they start virtue signalling because it's a magic word that gets a response. But I hear it and I'm like, yeah, you do well to use that word a lot. If you want to vote, if you want to bait those people out, if you want them to come at you and punish you just for saying that word, I'll do the best they possibly can. It's like, what a job you're doing for the good guys, Kanye. It's like there's so many people don't see it. You say the word Jew, they get to thinking about Jews. They don't think of the word and its weight and its power and how it can be used as a weapon, or it can just be thrown in from nowhere and muddy the water. It's like you don't understand the weight of words and their associations. He does. He's a music guy, he's a words guy, he's a lyrics guy. You take away the language and the kind of poetry of his thing, and there's nothing there but a feeble human, a human being. Feeble. But his power is derived from the word, and he actually understands. So he's deliberately throwing around a weighted word to get a response. And the response he gets is going to be the right response because he's pressing the right buttons. He gets the seal of approval from me in hitting that head on. He's probably the only person they'll take notice of who mouths off like that. They just shut anyone else down. He can probably resist them. He can play a game with them. He's likely the only one equipped to play. I remember the one time when Matthew Farney, he doesn't do very much on the internet anymore. He's just got on with it, which is good. He was in Mexico last I heard, so it's like, okay, so you're in a different time zone. I might catch up with you more because he was in Eastern Europe. But once upon a time, the ADL put him on a list of the top 10 most dangerous white supremacists on the internet. Now, Matthew at the time was someone I'd speak to probably twice a week. He was writing articles and a blogger. I was doing videos. We used to have the odd conversation. I like Matthew. It's like he listens and he can think too. It's like you can work with him. He's good for collaborating with. Decent lad. They put him on that list. Called him one of the top 10 white supremacists on the internet. And he went around everywhere. It's like it became Twitter for a day that Matthew had been named as like this dangerous white supremacist anti-Semite by the ADL, no less. And at that time, the ADL thought they were still powerful, and the mainstream media thought they were still influential. But in the world of the internet, they had fallen miles behind what the social justice warriors have been able to do, playing exactly the same game of smearing, labelling and smearing people. They invented it. So they came back from the cold at naming Farney as like one of the top 10 most dangerous people on the internet. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. I talk to this guy all the time. And if you were to put us on a pegging, it's like I'm like older than him. I've got about 15 years on him at least. So by way of experience and being able to remember events from when he was a teenager and I was like an adult, it's like in that relationship, it's like I'm actually one up on him most of the time. He understands the ins and outs of it, so he's like he brings something, but it's like I bring more. I'm like, well, if he's one of the 10 most dangerous white supremacists on the internet, why the fuck aren't I on the list? Because I'm probably twice as dangerous as he is. So I'm feeling a bit miffed about it, and then he was feeling a bit miffed about it too, because he felt like he'd been slighted against. I'm like, nah mate, use this. So is there a chance now that people are going to be looking out for you? That you've now got the eye as to where you're now going to get targeted by the eye Sauron. Now it's been pointed at you. It's like, yeah, he says, right, well, do a podcast with me and we'll talk about Jews. What? Yeah. Let's talk about Jews. Right? So he has me on. And I'm like, the people who are watching this guy now, they'll be wanting him to trip up, and they're supposedly social justice but looking at it from the anti-Semitic perspective. Come all social justice, it's just another label that's got a weaponization, a weight to it and a punishment. So I go on and have the conversation with him about Jews. And I make distinctions between loads and loads of different sort of distinct kinds of Jews and temperaments and all this stuff that's mixed in. And then also that I'm in wider terms, not on a daily basis, but in strategic terms, I've got a very good understanding of like the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and its history, because I've spent years learning about it. So I talk about that as to say, well, you know, from the standpoint of pragmatism, I am a supporter of Israel. I think that there is a peaceful solution actually available if you were to just look at it and take away all this fanaticism. Because it's got to go one way or another. So I have a situation where it's like I am damning of Jews who witch hunt, right, in certain industries, or dominate and witch hunt in certain industries, one being the entertainment industry. I'm very damning of them, but I show admiration for the initiative and sometimes downright ruthlessness and mastery of psychological warfare of the likes of the Mossad and Israelis. So I sit in wonderment of just how they maintain their illusion of power, which is like, wow, this is cosmic what they do. And it'd be a matter of every time the words anti-Semitism, hate crime is mentioned anywhere in the world, there's some fool who says that's Mossad doing that, manipulating things. And, well, Mossad never going to deny it. You blame us for everything you like. You say we are responsible for everything. Blame us for everything. We'll be the boogeyman if you want us to be. That actually helps us. That keeps us secure. That has us winning a meta war, winning a psychological war, as to our intelligence services have a reputation for being creative, patient and ruthless. So it's like, yeah, be anti-Jew, be anti-Semitic, so you're actually feeding our monster. So it's like, what does people mouthing off about, oh, he's being anti-Semitic, how does that come across, right, in a place like, I don't know, Benghazi, Tripoli? How does that come across? What do they think? They're people who are fearful of Israel. Respect its strength, otherwise they, you know, they might have removed them when they thought they had a chance to 50 years ago. They haven't anymore. But it's like, how is this received in foreign countries when they'd start it like, there you go, there's the Jews again. Planting the news, creating the narrative. The Jews are probably fixing to do something. Why? Because they're dishing out punishment beatings of dissenters. Right, so when you've got fanatics who really hate Jews, like Palestinians, right? Hate Israelis, but by extension would blame all the problems in the world on the Jews, like many do. So what do they think when they hear Kanye say, my Jews? They're like, go Kanye. Every audience is global, certainly when you start running your mouth about the old J word. And it's like, can we not agree that this word is weighted and weaponized and used as a spear to destroy people with? And it's like, those who wield it are the outright masters of sort of psychological warfare, as to they come at you from the sides, as to where a guy like Kanye is getting like probably text messages from celebrities telling him you should keep your mouth shut, knowing that it's not, that them thinking that is the system working instinctively, as if there's no real boss here, there's just loads of people who knee-jerk react and close it down because it's a clique. A protected group of people with secrets who have got a great deal to gain from the world becoming a place, in essence, that's full of people detached from reality. It makes them better consumers for their imaginary product, being movies, things that are edited together. It's like they are interested in having power, real power. And it's like, you ask me what power is, right? And I'll say, Kanye West's got power. I'll just say that. Kanye West got it, right? He's got power, but how would he use it? So you give me power, I'd use it like Kanye West using it. If you give me power, I'd run my mouth and expose loads of hypocrisies and even make the case as to say the J word and the N word and the C word and the F word are magic words. And they're used thus as to where the more you've made people histrionic and the more you've made them where they get the vapours, you've suddenly created a population of people who can be manipulated with mere words, and some of the great words that work the best are the J word and the N word. And the man with the ability to broadcast can broadcast magic words. We take that further and we get to talking about like deliberate propaganda and persuasion. And it'd be a matter of, there are those out there who understand in the minds of some a spell needs to be broken as to who they think they know and trust. With this message coming from the ether. I don't trust any of them. None of them have, no one's really done me any favours at all. I've got no reason to trust anyone. Not earned my respect. Don't really trust anyone. Not coming from the media. So I think Kanye is banging on the right door, and I think as he develops, because that's the thing that's going on with him. It's like he's trying to piece together thoughts. He's trying to actually like say mass in some regards. You see how funny he comes across and the looks he gives, and he's deeply trying to communicate something rather important, and he's just can't get there. I feel really frustrated for him. But I say, if he puts himself in a better, if he finds himself people who can help him, you know, because you know something, I'd love for that whole fucking satanic Hollywood bullshit to be just, to come out in public, not in a way as to where through the media, in a way as to where these fucking twats all over social media from Hollywood start popping off like maniacs, screaming and threatening death on people. And I'd like to see the day where they all start to go fucking full retard crazy because someone's threatening their clique and their associations. And how dare you? Who are you to start mouthing off? And we see the true face of him, and it's like, that ain't hard to do if you've got as much power as he has. And as well as that, as much goodwill. He knows those people. He's the perfect nut job to go in there and hurt them. Do them a favour. It's like, shit, who would not sign up for that? It's like, there's been a lot of creepy shit going on in this business for a long time, and it's a matter of the media are nice to us because we're nice to them. So they do us favours, we do them favours. The cops are on side too. It's amazing what you can get away with cops when you're the most famous man in the world. The police just take the bribes, and if they don't, we get rid of them. It'd be this kind of fucking situation and place as to where if you don't know that that's what it is, you don't know nothing. It's like criminality thrives everywhere. And I think one of the homes of it is certainly Hollywood. Certainly Hollywood. It's like every single one of them has a tale to tell of fucking deprivation and abuse in coming up and getting there. And it's a matter of, did you want this, or Did somebody promise it you? I'm serious. In every profession I've come across or looked at, I've weighed it and looked at it, and there are people who are in everything on merit, and other people who got there because of the relationships they formed one way or another. That place is no different. But that place is keeping a code of silence. I think Kanye is the man to break it. How would you break it? Hit the Jews head on, gaslight them, get them to come after you. Get those in your set who might come after you for saying those words, get them to come, and let's see who they are and see what else they say. It's like the time is actually right to throw down on those fucks who've basically, they could be seen to be, the pioneers of this cancel culture, identity politics, grift. It's like they're the masters of it. They were the first people to kind of really work it until obviously Al Sharpton came along. Expanded the grift. Hell of a lot of working knowledge comes up with running that grift. But fundamentally, it just comes down to, can you shut someone down with magic words if you don't like the way that they're saying something? And the answer is, yes, you can. What do? You accuse them of being racist. So it's a matter of, okay, let's play.